Envy is a major thing with covert narcissists. I started this video by asking, is malicious envy a form of sadism? Is the wish to destroy your betters a form of sadism? Does it involve an evil intent to, for example, inflict pain, bask in the agony of others, gratify yourself with their writhing, torturing them to the point of feeling omnipotent? This is all true in the makeup of the covert narcissist. Now, to remind you, covert narcissism has several elements. Envy is a major thing with covert narcissists. They display pseudo-humility, false modesty. I can understand you. They also have victimhood, a victimhood stance. They're always the victims. They never do wrong. They can never do wrong. They always somehow fall prey to unscrupulous people or abusive intimate partners or institutions which are out to get them. And in this sense, covert narcissism is a close kin, a first cousin of paranoia. Most covert narcissists entertain paranoid ideation on a regular basis. The victimhood stance, the victimhood position, being a perpetual and professional victim, this excludes any other explanation to reality except some conspiracy against you. If you spend your entire life believing that you're a victim, then people are out to get you. There's malign attention and intention focused on you. Of course, it's narcissistically gratifying. It's a form of displaced grandiosity. If you can't obtain supply, narcissistic supply, directly, and covert narcissists are covert because they can't obtain supply directly. They fail. They are kind of collapsed narcissists. Then you can obtain supply by believing yourself to be the victim of your betters, the victim of institutions, public intellectuals, God knows what. So, pseudo-humility, a victimhood stance. But underneath all this, there is sadistic, malicious envy. It's the number one characteristic of the covert narcissist, in my view. It drives the passive-aggressive urges of the covert narcissist, as we shall see a bit later. Today, it's established and accepted, even to some extent, although obliquely, in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's established that there are two types of narcissism. One is grandiose and one is vulnerable. The most recent survey of this is Weiss and Miller, 2018. Grandiose narcissism is there's arrogance, self-promotion, immodesty, haughtiness, and vulnerable narcissism involves self-centeredness, hypersensitivity, introversion, and so on. And I refer you to work by Miller in 2017. So how do we associate a single dimension, sadism, with these two types which are diametrically opposed? Actually, overt, grandiose narcissism, and covert narcissism are so different to each other that there is a serious debate in the profession whether one of these two is actually a form of psychopathy. And the only real form of narcissism is covert narcissism, which is compensatory. I have a video dedicated to this debate. But how can we associate sadism with both the overt and the covert versions if they're almost mutually exclusive? Because both of them involve pleasure. In both types of narcissism, there is pleasure that the narcissist feels in response to other people's perceived pain and a willingness to exert dominance on other people. That is work by O'Meara in 2011. This is what's common to both types of narcissism. Beyond the seeking of pleasure, the central feature underlying sadistic behaviors is the willingness to exert power, dominance. In narcissism, overt and covert, is about controlling people, manipulating people, dominating people. Tendency, the proneness, the propensity to exploit and manipulate other people is a central feature of grandiose narcissism. And it's measured by the pathological narcissism inventory, work by Pincus and others in 2009. So we know this about grandiose narcissism, but it's equally common, and even I would say more so in covert narcissism, because covert narcissists are not self-efficacious. They cannot obtain supply or extract supply from the environment by themselves. So they need to control other people to do it for them. And they need to control the environment to avoid narcissistic injuries and mortifications, which could be lethal, literally lead to suicide in the case of covert narcissism. Covert narcissists get emotionally dysregulated much faster than overt or grandiose narcissists because they don't have the added layers of defense of narcissistic supply and self-efficacy. And so from this perspective, the tendency to be dominant and to engage in power plays, to try to exert power over other people, is a shared component between narcissism and sadism, and also explains the association between these two, because sadism is a way to gain control and is a way to exert power through pain. Stalin said that you can motivate people with love or with fear. Well, if you have narcissism, you have both. You can charm people into loving you, especially if you're a covert narcissist who masquerades as a kind, empathic, loving person. And you can terrify people and hurt them and torture them into submission. And this is an integral part of coercive control, by the way. And so this sadism has been overlooked in the past. It's a mistake even I have made in the early versions of Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited. Individuals with high levels of narcissistic rivalry experience negative feelings when someone else is receiving attention. They devalue other people, and they experience positive feelings when other people fail or find themselves in an inferior position, as I said. And this process helps the individual with a narcissistic pathology to maintain a grandiose image of himself. There are studies by Rogoza and others, 2018. The struggle for supremacy, the rivalry itself, the hostile behavior underlie, support, buttress, uphold the grandiosity. It is grandiose to engage in battle. It is grandiose to act as a superhero. It's grandiose to take down villains. It's grandiose to destroy the object that frustrates you and to prove yourself better than him or her. It's grandiose to take your rivals out. This is all grandiose. What are we talking about? Sadism is grandiose, exactly like paranoia. Narcissistic rivalry explains why individuals with high levels of grandiose narcissism experience positive feelings when other people fail, when other people are in pain, by exerting power over other people, subduing them, subjugating them, because there is a sadistic element there. And so, according to this reasoning, the levels of narcissistic rivalry explain the process by which grandiose narcissism leads to or is connected somehow to sadism. Same applies to malicious envy. It's a good candidate to explain the relationship between grandiose narcissism and sadism. Envy is a reaction or a disposition towards other people. It's the outcome of comparing yourself to other people. It's related to a sense of innate inferiority or some kind of injustice or discrimination if you're passive-aggressive. Yeah? When you compare yourself to other people's traits, their wealth, their success, envy is provoked, envy is triggered. That's only human. But when this envy leads you to act malevolently in order to destroy the other person, that's malicious envy. And it is distinct from benign envy. This is known as the dual envy theory. Cohen, Charash, Larson, 2017, Van der Ven, 2016, etc. It's a new theory of envy. Benign envy is a tendency to improve your lot, to improve your life, to change yourself, to better your condition. It stimulates you to work on yourself in accordance with the role model that you envy. Malicious envy is not about any of this. It's not about you, it's about the other person. Benign envy is about you and how you could become a better version of yourself. Malicious envy is about the other person and how you could destroy that other person so that it doesn't irritate you and annoy you and cause you narcissistic injuries and narcissistic mortification on a permanent basis. It's characterized by hostility, malicious envy, anger, devaluation, and harming others intentionally, deliberately, in order to reduce the threat to the ego, if you wish, or to the false self. Van der Ven, 2016. So, both benign envy and malicious envy are motivational, but benign envy causes positive motivation. It motivates you to do positive things, while malicious envy literally drives you to become a psychopath. Now, malicious envy supports in grandiose narcissism a positive image of the self. How? You construct your positive image of the self in narcissism compared to the negative image of the other. Malicious envy tells you if you destroy the other, it's because the other is negative. And by destroying this negative other person, you will have upheld and supported and proved your positive self-image. So it's an exclusionary identity. It's an identity by comparison. Malicious envy is derivative. Narcissism is derivative. The narcissist regulates his sense of self-worth and whatever sense of self he has via comparison with others. He derives narcissistic supply from others to regulate his internal environment. Narcissists, like borderlines, have external regulation. So the narcissist who is besieged and consumed by malicious envy needs to destroy the other person in order to feel good about himself. But to do that, he needs to reframe reality and he needs to say the other person deserves it. He's bad, he's evil, he's a villain. I am moral. I am a good person. I am impeccable. I am the victim. I have a right, moral, ethical, and legal, to do whatever I want because he had it coming and he should be punished and he should be taken down. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But of course, all this is bullshit. All this is nonsensical narrative, hiding forces inside the narcissist, especially the covert narcissist, that are overwhelming and dysregulating and ruinous. Ultimately, this kind of narcissist is consumed to utter destruction and annihilation by his own malicious envy and narcissistic rivalry. They drive him to distraction and then to destruction. Nothing is left of him. Envy has been linked more to covert narcissism or vulnerable narcissism than to grandiose narcissism. I refer you to studies by Gold as early as 1996, Crison and Johar in 2012, Neufeld and Johnson 2016, Lange and others in 2016, it's a literature review, and so on and so forth. Malicious envy is related somehow to narcissistic rivalry, but it's not the same. Again, there's a study by Dinich and Brankovic, 2021. Some authors argue that rivalry leads to malicious envy. I argue, Lange for example, I argue the opposite, that it's rivalry that leads to malicious envy. It doesn't matter. They're connected somehow. Malicious envy and rivalry motivate the narcissistic individual with high levels of narcissism to become aggressive, to aggress against others in order to destroy their much coveted and unattainable good fortune. The narcissist wants them gone because they are a constant reminder of their superiority compared to his inferiority. It's unacceptable. And from this perspective, aggression motivated by malicious envy or the observation of failure in someone envied, in the envy object. This may be the source of sadistic pleasure in narcissistic individuals. Now, the sadism reestablishes the grandiosity of the self, supports the feelings or sense of self-worth, and it strengthens the sense of self-efficacy. It does good things. Destroying other people feels good to narcissists. As a whole, there is an association between all these elements. There's a great article by Klauf and others in 2019.